I can just tell you.
This is Gorilla Sports Off Court. I am Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. Just go to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome in to another episode of Off Court. I'm Liv Moods. That is Brandon Krisztal, BK, with less of a voice today. BK, we don't know why his voice is gone, but it is.
I don't know where it went.
It went. It's lost.
It is not normal.
We're looking for his voice.
I feel fine.
Yeah, he feels great,
I
which
look
is
great.
good. He looks great.
Put
He
that in
feels
quotes.
great. He just doesn't necessarily sound great. But BK, we've got some exciting stuff to talk about with the Denver Nuggets. Believe it or not, I will not be speaking super negatively about Jamal Murray today, because what we saw from Jamal Murray in his last performance with this Nuggets team against the Clippers, finally, the Nuggets able to take down the Clippers. It felt like this was just a bump in the road that they could not get over, which is weird because the Clippers aren't really this team that you consider to be a contending team. They don't really feel that threatening unless you're not playing perimeter defense and you're allowing Norman Powell to just splash threes all night, which we've seen a few times this season against this Nuggets defense. So very, very fun to see this Nuggets team finally take down the Clippers this season. And we're now hoping that tonight against the Sacramento Kings, they can have 3 wins in a row. The West is looking a little weird right now, BK, and I want to allow you to break it down for us a little bit because it's feeling pretty competitive. And again, so early in the season that any team or, person, fan base that was tweeting at me like, oh, the 9th seed, ooh, and Jokic can't be the MVP when he's the 9th seed. It's December, okay? There is a lot that's going to change. And we're seeing the Western Conference kind of stack very interestingly right now. So why don't you explain where are the Nuggets falling right now in the West?
Yeah, so they're all the way up to 5 now.
Whoop, whoop.
A couple wins will light a leapfrog a little bit. It's going to be like that, I think, throughout
All
almost the entire
season.
year.
Yeah.
OKC is 20-5. I don't think they're going to run away with it to the point where they're like 10 or 12 games ahead of the next closest team, because the West is just too good. And night in, night out, you're going to have to be playing mostly teams in the West. I understand You've got your 2 games a year with the teams in the East. Last year, Boston kind of ran away with the East. Cleveland and Boston both are like, there's a clear gap between them and the
everybody
rest of the
else.
East. And they're going to play so many more games against Brooklyn and Toronto and teams that are, kind of Charlotte that are on their hoping on their way up, but aren't here. Whereas OKC at 20-5, then Memphis is 3 games behind them. Rockets and Mavs are a half game behind the number 2 seed. The Nuggets, Suns, T-Wolves, Warriors are all 2.5 games behind that spot. And then just a touch behind them are the Spurs and Kings. So 1-12, it's only a difference of 7.5 games, whereas 1-12 in the East, it's 13.5 games.
Yeah.
Just gives you an idea. It's almost twice as hard.
Yeah.
And it's going to be incumbent on the Nuggets to win as many winnable games, because these playoff seedings are going to come down to dumb losses, and the loss to the Wizards now has to be made up with a win in Boston, or at OKC when you go there. Obviously, you've beaten them one of the 2 times here at Dallas. You're going to need to get a couple quality wins to erase that.
Yeah. And I do think they've got the Kings tonight. They've got the Trailblazers on Thursday, and they've got the Pelicans. And we know the Pelicans
are the worst team in basketball right now.
Yeah, the Pelicans riddled with
West.
injury. My whole point in saying that is up until that Suns game on Monday, the 23rd, there's some pretty winnable games ahead of this Nuggets team. And so if the Western Conference is stacked so tightly and they are kind of neck and neck with the Suns, and you mentioned the T-Wolves, it's pretty competitive right now. And we knew that the Western Conference was going to be competitive. I think we've talked about this many times on this show, BK. you especially have brought this up. When you've got the best player on the world on your team, you're good to win any of these basketball games. Truly, when you have Nikola Jokic in full health, playing full minutes, ready to go, these are all very winnable games. But I think right now, if this Nuggets team can pull themselves ahead and sit in a comfortable spot in the Western Conference and then just kind of coast, because we've seen that from this team before in their 2023 championship run, felt like they were just comfortably sitting on top of the West all season long. I don't think that's going to happen with any team this year in the Western Conference. I think the Western Conference is going to be exceptionally competitive. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to go back and forth all year long. But this is why we talk about those 2 games they dropped to the Clippers, the game that they dropped to the Wizards. I mean, these are games you don't want to lose, because at the end of the season, when you're fighting for that 1, 2, 3 seed, these are the games that matter. So we've got winnable games on the schedule for this Nuggets team. The Kings tonight, the Trailblazers Thursday, the Pelicans Sunday. Those are winnable games for this team. Hopefully they can get it done. Do you think that, especially tonight, because the Kings they're a 1.5 point favorite right now. They're not a team that you want to necessarily write off, and you don't want to just assume this is an easy win for this Nuggets team. However, I do think if everybody shows up, especially the man that goes by the name of Jamal Murray, who was the leading scorer in the Clippers game, for a whole game. He had the most points at 20 points. And we saw some clips of him playing basketball that I was very, very proud and excited to see, because it showed some hustle and it showed Jamal Murray playing Jamal Murray basketball. So if this Nuggets team shows up tonight, everybody's healthy, everybody's looking strong, is this a winnable game for the Nuggets?
I think so. Although we know the Kings obviously have a talented roster, and you look at not only a guy like De'Aaron Fox, but then you add DeMar DeRozan, a 6-time All-Star. They should be better than they are right now. And so with those guys plus Sabonis, there's no reason to think that they can't win every game. And Mike Brown, we know, is a good coach. And so you certainly can beat them. And to say should, I mean, you're a better team than them. But you can also get run out of that gym.
100%.
What we saw on Friday, was the Nuggets get on that gas pedal early, and when they were able to do that, it just made everything so much easier. They were 7-0 going into the game when they win the first quarter. Now 8-0, but 7-0 was 4th lowest in the league in terms of teams that have won the first quarter. So they don't do it a lot. When they do it, they win the game. And I understand maybe a couple things, but they had a lot of time off, so they had some energy. Jamal had a couple extra days off. He wasn't sure, and he talked about he wanted to push it as much as he could. He just didn't know what he'd be able to do. And they've played the Clippers twice already in pretty recently with that second game in LA. So you're familiar with how those teams are going to play. You know what you're going to get from Powell and from James Harden. But there's no reason they shouldn't just do that every game.
And why don't they? Like, do you have but you've watched enough Nuggets game. You've covered this team for many, many years. You were at the game on Friday. What felt like the difference maker in your opinion that allowed them to come out strong? Because we do see this a lot with this Nuggets team. First halves are pretty tragic sometimes. And then that third quarter, they find a little bit of groove and they're able to pull ahead and or get themselves back on track. What made Friday night different in your opinion?
I think it was just those factors, a comfort level and a little bit of rest and knowing, okay, we can get on these guys early. But I don't know if it was Jamal or Michael Porter that talked about feeling a team out. I think it might have been Jamal saying, hey, yeah, we got to feel these, we'll feel an opponent out and then pick your spots. And I can look it up here, but the couple games that Russ started, I guess he started the game in Washington. They didn't win, but they probably didn't win that first quarter, obviously. I'm sure they definitely won the first quarter against Atlanta. And then the 3 games that Jamal was out, they probably won all those first quarters too without even looking. And so that's maybe the easiest way to solve it. And if you don't want to bench Jamal, because this is something we haven't talked about, there's a scenario where you can start Russ and Jamal together just so that Russ pushes the pace and then work your rotation so that CB finishes essentially.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And so we saw that with a lot of years with Manu Ginobili was a 6-man for some reason, but he was always in at the end.
Yep.
So
do you think that's something that they should try, starting both so that Russ can push the pace a little bit?
Well, I guess let's see what the next few games are like in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Against not great teams. Sacramento's not a great team. They've got some talent. We know Portland is obviously still struggling. Our guy Chauncey probably rather be watching the Broncos game on Thursday than coaching. Although it's a time change, he'll be able to watch a good bit when he's there in his office. But I think that you don't need to pull that card yet, but Michael Malone should at least be entertaining that idea.
Yeah, I agree. One of the comments up there from Only Morale says, quit flip-flopping on Jamal, Liv. That's not a fan to me. Well, good news for you. I'm a fan and I'm also a reporter. I talk about teams that I love, that I'm a fan of, and I keep it very honest and very transparent. I will not sit on this show and be a fan of Jamal Murray that is not showing up and not doing his job. That's never going to happen here. So if that's the type of program you like to watch, it's not going to happen on this show. I'm going to keep it real and I'm going to keep it 100. And for many games, if you've actually been watching this Nuggets team, for many games, Jamal Murray was not showing up. Jamal Murray was not his best self. Jamal Murray was not showing effort. He was not hustling. So when I do see that, I'm going to give him his flowers because that is the version of Jamal that I want to see every single game. When I do see it, it would be horrible of me to only talk about his bad games and not congratulate him on good games. It's not me flip-flopping. I've always been a fan of Jamal. Even when I'm hard on Jamal, I am a fan of Jamal. Ask any of my friends in my very small circle. I am the friend that is the toughest on my friends at all times. I want the best for them. I have high expectations for them. I'm typically the friend that they don't call right away when they know that they've made a mistake or done something wrong because they don't want to hear the honest to God truth. And I expect the same thing out of my friends for me. I want to be held accountable. I want to be a better version of myself tomorrow than I was today. The only way you do that is by hearing constructive criticism. So I will not sit here and blow smoke up Jamal Murray's butt if he doesn't deserve it. But when he does deserve it, I absolutely will give credit where it's due. So it is not me being a flip-floppy fan. It's not me jumping on and off a bandwagon. I've been a Denver Nuggets fan my entire life. And when Jamal Murray has great performances and does his job, I will congratulate him. When he does not, I won't. It's that simple. So I am happy with what Jamal did against the Clippers. And the reason I'm not like, oh my gosh, is because that's what I expect. Because I know he's capable of that. Jamal Murray is a fantastic basketball player. He is. He just doesn't always bring that to the table.
And I think that's going to continue to frustrate Nuggets fans until he averages 20 and 8. And once he's averaging 20 and 8 or 22 and 8, it's okay. That's why that guy's getting $208 million or whatever that number is. I had an interesting post-game experience. I asked Michael Malone, how nice is it to win by 22 and have so many other guys contribute when Joker's so far under his averages on everything?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and he just said, very nice. So, nice.
Pretty simple, straight to the point.
And I asked a couple questions to MPJ, but I asked that. He's like, yeah, it's good. It gets everybody involved. The bench is really good. And then I asked Jamal, and Jamal's like, Joker still played his game. Joker. Like, he still had a good game. I'm like, yeah, what I'm saying is, I literally had to clarify. I'm like, well, that way he doesn't feel like it seemed like he has to carry y'all at times. He's like, no, well, the bench played good. Like Jamal just wasn't having it, and that was frustrating. But nonetheless, I will make the point for myself.
Yeah.
That you want Joker to be Joker. And I think it's fun when he's scoring 30 points, grabbing 16 boards and dishing out 10, 11 assists. But knowing how long the season is, how much he will play.
A lot, yeah.
You don't want too many games like this because he just falls out of the MVP conversation, and that doesn't. You need the numbers to justify his greatness.
Of course,
we need that as basketball viewers. I'm saying the voters.
Voter fatigue is going to be a thing, so it's got to be a landslide, unfortunately.
Right, and so because of that, he's going to need to have more good games than average game. You call that an average game statistically? He played fine. And his plus minus he was plus 20, and I think Russ was plus 21. But I think it's a good thing on nights where he doesn't have to carry the team.
Correct.
And maybe it's not 16, whatever it was, 16, 8, and 2 assists. Now, if they knock down some of those threes early, they started 3 for 14. If they knock down some of those threes early,
it's a different story.
5, 6, 7 assists, whatever it may be. But it's nice to take some of the responsibility off Joker to not have to truly carry the team, and then you can get a bunch of contributions from a bunch of people, especially the bench.
Yeah. I actually just got a tweet. Someone tweeted at me 10 minutes ago and said, Nuggets need a bench. How concerned are you for the Denver Nuggets bench, or lack thereof, I should say?
We've had this conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
Name me the star bench players on other teams.
I don't really care to know because they're not really.
That's sort of the point. Other than
Yeah,
Boston,
no, you're right.
whose depth I think is probably still the best. Like OKC's depth is impressive because it's nonstop and all these guys can shoot and they play really good defense. But it's like there's household names out there all across the NBA that are on other teams' benches. So I think you need Peyton Watson to keep doing what he did the other night, where he gets you 16 points, I believe, and is active defensively. Julian Strawther, I think, had 12, had a really nice assist on a alley-oop.
Yep.
Plays hard defense. Hunter Tyson, when he gets in there, continues to play. You really would have loved to see what they could have gotten from Deron Holmes.
Oh, I know.
Because
he would have been.
Jordan for 14, 15 minutes is fine, but you can't do it every night. You need to do about once every 4 games. And so you're still worried about that backup big. Otherwise, you're playing Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson. But with what Russ is going to give you, and then Watson and Strawther specifically, I don't know if there's another 1 to 8 that you like more than the Nuggets.
Right.
If we go around, like, and having just seen the Warriors come in, haven't seen the Clippers, haven't seen OKC. Is there somebody out there that you're like, oh, that 8th guy for the Magic is awesome?
Not really. Yeah, no.
So do you want your bench to not get outscored by 40 or whatever it is, on the nights that they don't bring it, like against the Warriors? I think that night the bench did get really outpaced. Sure, but when you also have the best starting 5 in the league or close to it, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it's like massive cause for concern, and I'm not sure that you could say that the bench is going to be the reason the Nuggets can't make a deep playoff run this season. I think that they have the talent. I think it's just going to require our bench to get more minutes, get more reps, and understand the game without Nikola Jokic. We can't keep falling back on Nikola Jokic to be the hero every single game. Yes, he is great at that, and he can do it. He's capable of it, but you don't want to have to see him do that every single game. Let's talk a little bit about Jamal Murray. Were you pleased with? Could you tell a difference from the very beginning of the game that you were going to get a different version of Jamal in that game?
Yeah, well, you could just see the energy. We saw the same thing when he came off injury last time.
Yep.
And so maybe it does go to what we were talking about last week, that he paces himself. And that's the frustration, is that we don't necessarily realize that. Here's the thing, though. If we ask Michael Malone, he's not going to give you the best answer. If you ask Jamal, he's going to say, no, I just play my game. Like, you want to acknowledge
the difference.
That he's pacing himself and trying to gear up and ramp up towards March and April and into May. And fingers crossed into June. I just don't think he'd cop to that. I think he'd be like, no, I just didn't have it tonight. Versus it'd probably be fascinating to see, even before the injury, and he's playing really well, obviously, what his month over month is every single year. Because it hadn't changed that drastically.
No, again, we know what he's capable of. It's just a matter of the effort that he brings, the energy that he's got, and when he brings it, he's on. He's Jamal Murray. He's just got to play Jamal Murray basketball. And I know he claims, I go out there and I play the same way every time. No, he doesn't. And we know that. And we can see that. That's not the case. You can tell when you're going to get an elevated version of Jamal just by the first few seconds of him having the ball in his hands. The hustle that he brings makes all of the difference. Want to talk to you a little bit about, I know I talk about rumors, trade rumors on this show all the time. There are conversations about the potential future of Michael Porter Jr. being a Denver Nugget. Do you worry that he could be somebody that we lose in an attempt to either create more depth on our bench or get Jokic some help at center, or even the point guard situation? If we don't keep getting Jamal Murray playing Jamal Murray ball, do you worry that MPJ could be kind of a scapegoat for maybe the decisions that Calvin Booth made that in hindsight now he has some regret over?
I guess we'll see ultimately how it plays out. But you talk about the bench wanting to get better, or wanting the bench to be better. If you're going to trade Michael Porter Jr., who are you trading him for? And what are you getting back?
I agree. I don't think it's a great idea.
And also, who's trading for Michael Porter Jr., who's got an expensive contract? Aaron Gordon's probably more tradable, but he does too many things. But
correct.
I think seeing this evolution of Michael Porter's game and knowing what he's capable of on the defensive side and on the glass when he wants to contribute there, and I think just in general he does more, and his ability to knock down open threes and get to the rack. I think that it better make sense. Like trading Michael Porter for Jimmy Butler doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'm not saying that's a trade that's out there. I'm just, if you're going to add Jimmy Butler, you want to figure out how to add him to be part of your rotation, but not at the expense of what MPJ gives you. And so it's sort of like the Jamal Murray for De'Aaron Fox thing. Like, why was either team doing that? Or why is Sacramento doing it? With MPJ, why are the Nuggets giving away unless they're getting equal or greater value? Because there's no need to make that move.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're getting more than MPJ if you're getting a Jimmy Butler. Do you think Jimmy Butler could be a good fit? Hypothetically speaking, could Jimmy Butler be a good fit for the Denver Nuggets?
I think so, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Because in the playoffs, he plays at a different level. So the idea that you could have Jamal Murray in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, plus Joker, it's intriguing. And at the same time, he's 35. So, and he wants a new deal.
I think he's unhappy in Miami.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah, I think he just wants to get out.
It's a bunch of BS or whatever. That's what happens is it gets out there, then his agent walks it back in an effort to get Miami to pay him more money. So they can give him a new deal, then he'll be happy again. But if he gets out, let's say you're not trading Michael Porter Jr., you're probably not trading Christian Brown for him. Although I think you could stomach that if that was the move. But say you're trading Zeke Naju, you have to trade because of the way the contracts work, probably whatever draft picks you have left. I'm sure you throw in Dario Saric. And probably Peyton Watson or Julian Strawther. Pick your poison. I think if you're adding Jimmy Butler, because Julian Strawther is such a good shooter, I'd always be more inclined to keep him in today's NBA than Peyton. And look, they may say Peyton's a non-starter, that we don't want to trade him. But Jimmy Butler in the playoffs with Christian Brown, then going back to the bench. And then when Jimmy's working second unit with Russ, it's easy to be enticed by that. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about tonight's matchup. Do you have any player props and or bets in this game that you're looking at? I'm did a little bit of research, tiny little bit. The Kings right now in their last 7 games, they have allowed the 4th most points to opposing shooting guards at 25.84 on average, and they're also allowing quite a few 3-pointers. They're allowing the 5th most 3-pointers to opposing shooting guards. The Nuggets allowing the 3rd most 3-pointers to opposing shooting guards. So this might be a good night for the shooting guards tonight on both teams. Would you be willing to take some player props for the shooting guards tonight?
DeMar DeRozan to score 25 is plus 165. So 16.5 to 1.
Maybe. And threes?
3 made threes for, he's not even a choice, DeRozan. Nor is CB.
Yeah, I don't see CB in mine. I do get
Keegan Murray and Malik Monk.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan I don't have here. I don't have him listed for threes. But points, would you be willing to take the over on CB's points?
Probably. He's starting to get back to those numbers that he put up until about a week and a half ago.
I don't even have him available for me.
What about first basket?
First basket. Let's see.
Yeah, plus 1,000. But I think it's a silly bet, as we talked about.
Yeah, first baskets are tough.
I like the Nuggets to cover.
Okay.
And even though they played good defense the other night, 237 feels like a lot of points, but not with the way the Nuggets have been playing defense in general. And knowing Sacramento can score.
If it's plus 1.5, though, would you just take money line at that point?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just take them at plus. I'm seeing it plus 108. Yeah,
I'd do that. But I'd probably bet the over.
Over 237.5.
Mm-hmm.
High scoring affair. I like it.
Not great defenses.
Yeah, I agree.
And not a team that really has an eraser on the back end. Big shot block team. So
I like it. So the over, there's a little 5-leg same game parlay here that's already built for us, and it says DeMar DeRozan 20+ points, Domantas Sabonis 20+ points, De'Aaron Fox under 24.5 points, Keegan Murray 6+ rebounds, and Malik Monk 6+ assists. So that's a big, heavy Kings parlay there for you. I'd be willing to bet CB has a good night scoring, although his lines are not available to me. Are there any? Sometimes there are profitable unders, but I really hate
I hate betting
taking
unders.
them. I hate it.
I'd be reluctant to bet unders other than maybe like Joker assists because you don't think they're going to shoot well around him.
I think I would probably, if I had to take an under tonight, I'm thinking maybe Aaron Gordon under 13.5 points.
Okay.
I could see him focusing on not scoring. I would take
Well,
maybe.
he's probably going to draw Sabonis a bunch.
Yeah, I would probably take his under on points if I had to take an under, but I don't love taking unders because it means that you're rooting for, what do we say, bad basketball, missed shots.
Yeah, just bad basketball, bad
Yeah.
football. If you're, it's just unsportsmanlike.
It is. It 100% is. It does feel that way.
This is totally separate, but you know, so I'm just kind of looking through stuff. Very cool things happening in Boulder right this second. This has nothing to do with basketball, but we still talk sports too. Travis Hunter, who's a hell of a basketball player. If you see some of those clips, you're like, all right, I get it. He's in Boulder right now in their practice facility with his jersey on, practice jersey, the Heisman, and one at a time, every coach, staffer, teammates are coming up to take photos with him and the trophy so that they can all.
Oh, that's so
It's just like one
awesome.
after another. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet this was a really cool Monday school day for him
Yeah,
today.
no
I mean,
kidding.
you're like, got to be the coolest guy on the planet right now.
Yeah. Do you know what happened 18 years ago today? And I got to shout out Jesse for asking me that. Nuggets related.
No, I don't know what happened.
I moved here December 14th of 2006. That's not what happened. Nuggets related. 2 days later, I'm at the sports column watching the Nuggets in the Garden playing the Knicks when Carmelo Anthony gets into a huge brawl.
Oh, he's my favorite player ever.
Carmelo gets suspended 10 games. J.R. Smith was suspended, among others.
I don't think I remember this brawl.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, how old were you in 06?
8.
Okay.
So I was probably on a playground somewhere.
Carmelo throws a punch and then runs the other way. It's kind of weak. You can look it up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but either way,
no, I don't think I've ever.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have seen clips of it.
Our friends at Ball is Life, they have it up. Kenyon got suspended, I think 6 games. JR got suspended 8 games. Melo suspended 15.
Wow.
Marty Collins and Nate Robinson of the Knicks and JR.
Punching guard Marty Collins.
Yeah, and you can watch the video. He hits Marty Collins and then runs to the other side of the court. It's kind of weak.
That is weak. I'm disappointed.
Here in Denver. And then 3 days later, the Nuggets trade for Allen Iverson.
Wow.
So all that happened within less than a week of me moving here. Then another
You were
blizzard
busy.
happens. And then sadly, 2 weeks after I got to town, Darren Williams was shot and killed on New Year's Eve, which I know Nate's talked about. A tough night.
And not too long ago was the anniversary of DT.
Yeah.
Passing away.
Another sad one, but it was just a weird couple of weeks.
This is a hard time of the year.
And I have 2 blizzards. And look, I didn't know the way the weather worked around here. I'd come to summer camp in Colorado in 7th grade. I took a job here without visiting and just thought the winters would be snowy. Just didn't even know about it or think about it. And so I remember sitting in my office. I was working at 104.3 The Fan, which was still 950 The Fan then. And Dan Jacobs, who you'll hear on their air on the weekends, he goes, this isn't normal, this snow. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, no. He goes, this is way more snow than we normally get. And I get home that night. And this is probably right before New Year's. So you've had two blizzards. And like, yeah, we've had more snow this year than all the snow we had all of last year. And it's not even January 1st. I was like, oh, okay.
Winters, I think, get a bad reputation out here.
You'll
but
have one of those every decade. I think so. That was
honestly, we get some of our worst snowstorms in
random May.
May. Yeah, like our springtime storms are sometimes worse than our winter ones.
You may or may not remember this, but a couple of years ago, and this was maybe the feeler before they started moving the draft.
Yeah.
They just had the NFL draft. They just had on day 3, they just had people at different wherever. So Denver was Red Rocks, where they're going to make the pick. Paul Mecklenburg and David Bruton and Miles, a mascot and cheerleaders, and some Broncos fans are at Red Rocks. And it is just a downpour of snow. And you're like, well, that's part of the reason you don't have the draft in Denver, probably.
Correct.
And you're not that they don't have covered venues they could have done it at. And it's also why you can't have a Super Bowl until you have a covered stadium, because it might be like it was yesterday. or it might be a full
or
blown
could be
blizzard.
not. Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts from you, BK? Honestly, I'm looking here at the sports book still just a little bit. Michael Porter Jr. to have over 6.5 rebounds in this game is at plus 112. And I actually last game took him to hit. I sprinkled on Michael Porter Jr. actually to have a double-double against the Clippers. I thought that he would be able to rebound super well. He did not rebound super well in that game, but maybe gives me a little bit of hope that maybe that's more of a priority for him tonight. 6.5 plus 112. I think he can hit it. Right now, in the last 7, the Kings are giving up the second most rebounds to opposing power forwards at 9.29 on average. So maybe this is a night where I sprinkle on Michael Porter Jr. to have a double-double and I take the over on his rebounds. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now, and maybe even take the over on Michael Porter Jr. threes as well.
I'd probably be interested in the over on De'Aaron Fox points too, because he's still going to have Jamal Murray on him a fair amount.
I like it.
So that's
So De'Aaron Fox over on points, MPJ over on rebounds and maybe threes. I might stick that in a little same game parlay and might sprinkle on Michael Porter Jr. to have a double-double tonight. It might be worth it. I'm not sure what the value is there, but I don't think I'm going to hate it. You know, double-doubles are they usually have some pretty good value for a guy like Michael Porter Jr. because he doesn't do it super often. Looks like you can get him to have a double-double tonight at plus 500. So $10 will make you 50, $100 will make you 500. So not bad. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Any final thoughts from you, BK, before we get out of here? The Nuggets play tonight. They play again on Thursday, and we will have you covered. Not only do the Nuggets play Thursday, but also the Broncos play Thursday, and also the Avs play Thursday. BK will actually be in Los Angeles covering the Broncos game for us, and we're going to do a show here in the studio where I'm going to toss to him and talk to him about some Broncos stuff. But if he's around and able to set up his equipment again and talk Nuggets with me as well, we can do that.
Maybe so.
But yeah, we'll have you covered on the Thursday game. They play again tonight as well. I'm going to do my best to hop on with BK tonight. I just have a super early flight in the morning and these flipping 8 p.m. tip-offs.
Ruben's going to be happy to hop on as well.
For sure. Yeah. So if I can't make it, we will still have coverage tonight.
Live post game.
But those that 5 a.m. alarm on Tuesday mornings can sometimes rock me a little bit. And these 8 p.m. tip-offs, I don't know how Eastern time zones do it. I don't get it. That would be really, really tough for us. So we are blessed. Mountain time, I feel like, is a really great time zone for sports. So
it's the best. I've lived in all 4 time zones, and without question, because the West Coast, it's a little too early.
I agree with that.
Those 9 o'clock football games on a Saturday in college.
That's too much.
10 o'clock in the NFL is early, but you can then go to dinner after Sunday night or Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Even here, that's a little tricky to go after.
Yeah. So we're in a good spot. So I'm going to do my best to hop on tonight if I can get all of my stuff done before I leave town tomorrow. If I can get it done and be like chill. I mean, hell, maybe I'll do the post game in my pajamas. And then as soon as we're done, I'll just slide right into bed. Who knows? Sometimes I wear pajamas to the studio if you let BK tell you. So it wouldn't be anything different or strange.
Quite comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll do my best to hop on with BK tonight. We'll talk about this game specifically. And then Thursday, you can expect a whole extravaganza of Avs, Broncos, Nuggets. I'll be here in the studio. We'll toss to BK. We'll toss to Jesse. We'll talk with Nate. We'll talk with maybe Megan Angley as well. So we'll have a lot of stuff for you. Any final thoughts before the Nuggets play tonight?
No, it was just good to see a solid performance on Friday, and it'd be nice to see them. They've got a week-long 3-game road trip, which is a little odd, these gaps, but they hit the road yesterday. They're not back till next Sunday because they go Portland to Sacramento, Portland, 2 nights in New Orleans to just hang out until the Sunday night game.
That could be tricky. You gotta play your cards right when you're out in New Orleans. So hopefully they do just that and take care of their bodies and they're really ready, because I do think these next 3 games, tonight included, are winnable ones. So hopefully they are on their P's and Q's and we get the best out of them so that we can see some dubs here for the Denver Nuggets. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of Off Court. Oh, don't forget to check out, we've got 2 friends we need to talk about. Don't forget to check out our friends at Landmark Lincoln. If you are looking for a new car, maybe for you, maybe for wifey, maybe for your friend, who knows? They have been a pretty solid dealer in Colorado off of Bellevue and Broadway, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, in Littleton.
And they've got some new cars that they want you to check out. You can also head to landmarklincoln.com to figure out any incentives or deals that you may be qualified for. See if you can get a new car if you're in the market.
Qualify for no payments up to 90 days Just go to landmarklincoln.com. Again, like you said, corner Broadway and Bellevue. See why they've been Colorado's trusted Lincoln dealer since 1911.
Wow. That was like 87 years before I was born.
That sounds
Wow.
right.
That's crazy. So yeah, they've been trusted for a long time for a reason. So make sure you check them out. And then, of course, this episode presented by Trusted American Mortgage. They are trying to help you lower your monthly payments, get a better interest rate. You could qualify for the cost of your appraisal up to a $650 value and could potentially not have to pay a mortgage payment until February. Or February, as BK likes to say. So go to trustedamerican.com and see how they can help you save some money today. Thank you for being here. This has been another episode of Off Court. We are in the Gorilla Sports studio. I'm Liv Moods. That's BK. And we will see you. I may see you tonight for some post-game coverage. BK for sure will. And then, of course, we'll keep you posted on Thursday, Sunday. We'll have you covered for all things Nuggets this week. So thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very, very soon. Go Nuggets. Bye.